Namaste and welcome to the second part of this Taj Mahal legend. The current history says the Taj Mahal was built between 1631 and 1653 by Emperor Shah Jahan as the tomb for his wife Arjuman Banu Begum, better known as Mumtaz Mahal. 22,000 men worked on it incessantly for 22 years. Born in 1592, Arjuman Banu, known as Mumtazul Zamani, was the daughter of Asaf Khan. She married Shah Jahan in 1612 and died in Burhanpur in 1631 after the birth of her 14th child. After his death, the emperor was buried by her side. The serenity, beauty, majesty, and grandeur of the Taj Mahal have made it known all over the world. But what is not so well known is the true story of its origin. If it was constructed by Shah Jahan in the memory of his beloved wife, what was their basis for saying so? What was their source? Then how did this legend arise? These figures they get from J.B. Tavernier, a French merchant who dealt in jewels. He visited India in 17th century, sometime between 1638 to 1668, and has written a book, Travels in India. According to Tavernier, of all the tombs which one sees at Agra, that of the wife of Shah Jahan is the most splendid. I witnessed the commencement and accomplishment of this great work on which expended 22 years, during which 20,000 men worked incessantly. The legend drew support from the casual remark that he was a witness to the commencement and accomplishment. He also said that the scaffoldings alone cost more than the entire work. Now, if we cross-examine him, we will find that he came to Agra in 1640 or 41. But do the historians say that the construction started in 1640? No, they can't agree with Tavernier's statement. Mumtaz died in 1631. Then how could he see the commencement? Again he says that he saw the completion. If we check, we are told that Tavernier came to Agra again in 1665. And according to Archaeological Survey of India, Taj Mahal was completed in 1653. This shows that Tavernier's testimony cannot be relied upon. We must remember that Tavernier was not a scientifically trained observer who visited India with the intention of describing the country and its people. He observed it from the point of view of a merchant. As to the statement that the scaffoldings alone cost more than the entire work, the cost of the scaffolding, far from exceeding that of the building for which it is erected, is in fact hardly anything. But Tavernier says that the scaffolding proved costlier than the entire work. That is emphatic proof that the entire work consisted of nothing but the engraving of Quran, digging burial pits, and erecting a grave and a cenotaph. To quote Mr. Oak, the utter incompatibility and inconsistency of the loose bits of information mouthed and written about the Taj Mahal, clanking to a crescendo of jarring notes in my subconscious mind, impelled me to attempt sorting them out from a tangled mass and piercing them together to find out whether they made a coherent and plausible account. To my amazement, it led me to an unexpected conclusion, namely that far from originating as a medieval tomb, the Taj was built by a powerful Rajput king as his palace in pre-Muslim times. His conclusions are based on a number of historical works, medieval and modern, primary sources of material. Namely, the court papers of Shah Jahan, Badshah-Nama, Volume 1 and 2 by Mullah Abdul Hamid Lahori, who was appointed by Shah Jahan as his official court chronicler. Badshah-Nama allocates 2 pages for the burial of Queen Mumtaz, Volume 1, page 402 and 403. Translation of these pages is given in Mr. Oak's book, The Taj Mahal is a Temple Palace. I have taken a few relevant lines from the book. And I quote, "On Friday, 15th Jamadi-ul-Awwal, the sacred dead body of the traveler to the kingdom of holiness, Hazrat Mumtazul Zamani, who was buried temporarily, was brought to the capital, Akbarabad, that was Agra. The site covered with magnificent lush garden to the south of that great city, and amidst which the building known as the Palace of Raja Mansingh, at present owned by Raja Jayashree, means that the palace of Raja Jayasingh, grandson of Raja Mansingh, was selected for the burial of the queen, whose abode is in heaven. After the arrival of the dead body in that great city of 15th Jamadul Sonia. Next year, that illustrious body of the heavenly queen was laid to rest by the official of the capital, according to the royal orders of the day, under the sky-high lofty mausoleum, hid the pious lady from the eyes of the world, and the edifice so majestic and with a dome, Imarate Alishan wa Gumbaze, which means that building was complete with a gumbad. Note the reference of the building known as Raja Mansingh's Palace and again Grand Palace, Imarate Alishan wa Manzile, which had a dome on it. This is a clear, unequivocal and disarming admission that the Taj Mahal is a Hindu palace commandeered for use as a tomb for Shah Jahan's wife. Mullah Abdul Hamid Lahori wrote the Badshah-Nama in Persian as the official chronicle at Emperor Shah Jahan's own command. The Persian text in its original form is published by the Asiatic Society of Bengal, and Mr. Oak, for the first time, got it translated in 1965 and published a line-by-line English translation along with the Roman pronunciation of the 2 pages. It was quite shocking that this important proof from Badshah-Nama was hidden from the people for centuries. This revelation changed the whole narrative. Mr. Oak challenged the historians and architects and also wrote to RIBA, the Journal of Royal Institute of British Architects, in June 1980. This letter stands unrebutted even after 44 years. Far from being a symbol of Mughal architecture, Taj Mahal is clearly based on Hindu Shilpa Shastra. Professor Balasubramaniam of IIT Kanpur has written an article on new insights on the modern planning of the Taj Mahal. He is from the Materials and Meteorological Engineering Department. He has in detail stated that the Taj was built according to Hindu specifications as per Arthashastra and Shilpa Shastra. You can find this article on our website. In addition to these proofs, Mr. Oak has couched the Shah Jahan legend in every detail and cited other voluminous evidence proving conclusively that the Taj Mahal is an ancient Hindu building. The conclusion reached unsettled some important portions of medieval history as currently taught and presented. The matter does not end with merely admitting the Taj Mahal to be a Hindu palace. That finding has a far-reaching bearing on both Indian and world history. The another documentary proofs are the farmans or the court orders of Shah Jahan. Court orders of Shah Jahan to Raja Jai Singh of Jaipur regarding acquisition of marble from the Makrana quarries of Rajasthan. There are records of 3 farmans which are cited as proof of Shah Jahan constructing the marble edifice, dated January 21st, 1632, refers to a large number of carts for transportation of marble. But the number is not mentioned. The second farman, dated September 9, 1632, refers to carts for transportation of marble again, but the quantity is not specified again. Farman dated June 21, 1637, instructs Raja Jai Singh to release the stone cutters under his employment for the purpose of procuring marble for the Taj Mahal. No details are mentioned here again. How is it that the work undertaken by Shah Jahan involved marble right in 1631? It is clear the procuring of marble started sometime in 1632, soon after Mumtaz's body was shifted to Agra, and continued till 1637 or beyond. The quantity is not known. Here it is important to state that the entire building is of brick and mortar. The marble platform and the upper floors are plastered with 6-inch thick marble slabs. The inner walls of the edifice have calligraphical work. 14 chapters of Quran are inscribed on that wall, requiring enormous quantity of marble. However, the work on marble is only at the final stage of building, and it was not required in the beginning, as against the foundation erection of the edifice. Doesn't this indicate that Shah Jahan worked only on the final stage, namely modification and calligraphical inscriptions involved marble and not in construction? The next documentary proof is Aurangzeb's letter written to Shah Jahan, dated 1652. Aurangzeb assumed charge as the governor of Deccan. On his way to Deccan from Delhi, he visited Agra and inspected the Taj Mahal. In his letter written from Dholpur, he wrote about the state of affairs and badly needed repairs to the Taj Mahal. Text words from the translation of the letter published by Mr. Wirth's Archaeological Department of India, 1945, are quoted below. The dome of the Holy Tomb leaked into places towards the north during the rainy season, and also the fair semi-domed arches. Many of the galleries on the second story, the 4 smaller domes, the 4 northern compartments, and 7 arched underground chambers, which have developed cracks during the rains last year. The terrace over the main dome also leaked in 2 or 3 places. It has been repaired, but it remains to be seen during the ensuing rainy season how far the operations prove successful. The domes of the mosque and the Jamaat-e-Khana leaked during the monsoons. The master builders are of the opinion that if the roof of the second story is reopened and dismantled and treated afresh with concrete, with half a yard of mortar grout is laid, the semi-domed arches and galleries and the smaller domes will be probably watertight, but they are unable to suggest any measure of repairs to the main dome. If this letter was written in year 1652, how does it tally with the thesis that the building was constructed between 1631 and 1653? There was extensive damage in 1652, which means that it was quite old in 1652. Whereas the Taj Mahal is supposed to be completed only in 1653, according to Archaeological Survey of India. Moreover, do these master builders appear to be the original builders of the Taj, as they were unable to suggest any measure of repair to the main dome? Contemporary travelogues of Peter Mundy, East India Company, J.B. Tavernier, a French merchant, Manrique, Portuguese traveler, has also given a contradictory account. It's not possible to give all the proofs which are given in the book Taj Mahal is a temple palace, which is the greatest historical discovery of modern times. Its architecture, Hindu symbolism, the sealed chambers, the nakarkhanas, the goshala also point to its Hindu origin. Several leading authorities on architecture and history, like E.B. Havel, have held that the Taj Mahal is absolutely Hindu in origin, taste, and style. And I quote, "In two of the most important, namely the Mughal and Bijapur style, Ferguson and all other writers have ignored the Hindu element entirely and treated them both as foreign to India. It is Indian art, not Arab, Persian, or European, that we must study to find whence come the inspiration of the Taj Mahal and the great monument of Bijapur. They are more Indian than St. Paul's Cathedral and Westminster Abbey are English." E.B. Havel, in his work Indian Architecture, describes the Taj Dome in Indian Shilpa Shastra. He further describes the significance of the dome. This structural arrangement is not Saracenic but essentially Hindu. It is known in Hindu architecture as the Pancharatna, the shrine of 5 jewels of 5-headed lingam of Shiva, symbolizing the 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, and ether. A typical example of it is found in one of the small shrines of Chandi Seva temple in Java, which has an arrangement of domes strikingly similar to that of the Taj. The date of the completion of the Chandi Seva is AD 1098, nearly 5.5 centuries before the Taj was begun. The Arab, Tartars, Mongols, and Persians who came into India had much to learn from Hindu civilization, and it was from what they learned and not what they taught that Mohammedan art in India became great. The Taj Mahal belongs to India, not to Islam, writes Havel. Next is the scientific proof of carbon-14 dating of Taj Mahal. The carbon C14 test is applicable to anything which has been part of living organism, such as piece of bone or timber. A wooden piece from the riverside eastern doorway of the Taj was subjected to the carbon-14 test by an American laboratory, and that is a long story. An American professor teaching history of architecture at the Pratt School of Architecture, New York, happened to read Mr. Oak's book titled The Taj Mahal is a Hindu Palace. He was shocked to discover that while the book had presented overwhelming evidence indicating that the Taj Mahal was a Hindu building, he and his professional colleagues all over the world have been unknowingly misleading generations of students, describing the Taj to be an example of Islamic architecture. His name was Marvin M. Mills. He wrote to Mr. Oak around 1974, asking whether he could show him around the Taj Mahal from his point of view, means from Mr. Oak's point of view. Mr. Oak agreed, and Professor Mills came to India, and Oak and a few friends accompanied him from Delhi to Agra. On being taken around and explaining the significance of various details, he seemed to be fairly convinced, but to make sure, he wanted to subject some wooden samples to scientific dating. The problem was to obtain a wood sample. In fact, the Taj Mahal has many wooden doorways. While closely examining the 2 stories red stone rear protective wall of the Taj Mahal, he noticed that near the western and eastern extremities of the wall were symmetrical doorways. The doorway at the northwest was in good shape. Above that was the so called mosque, but the doorway near the northeastern end of the wall had been crudely walled up with unplastered bricks. The upper half of its wooden panel was still in position. Being weather bitten, it had turned somewhat soft. When one of our group grasped its lower side and pulled a sizable piece, it came off. It was this piece of wood which was carried by Professor Mills to New York and subjected to a carbon 14 test. And this test has revealed the door to be at least 300 years older than Shah Jahan. In addition to these proofs, Mr. Hoke has scotched the Shah Jahan legend in every detail and cited other voluminous evidence proving conclusively the Taj Mahal as an ancient Hindu building. It is painful to note that scholars who feel committed to the Shah Jahan legend of Taj Mahal show a tendency to remain straitjacketed in their beliefs. Most of them expressed nothing but vehement contempt, either audibly or through various acts of commission and omission. The lay public looked on dazed in disbelief and looked up to history teachers and professors as if they are oracles for cues whether to laud or condemn him. Many were inspired by him also, who researched further and found more evidence to corroborate Mr. Oak's research. We are thankful to all his friends, followers, well-wishers, supporters, donors and publishers, and to all the readers who would send him appreciation by writing to him regularly. They loved him for his work and the person that he was. Thank you so much. Namaste and Jai Hind.